Hi, I'm Dr. Leif Smith. Before you pursue any therapy, I want you to sit down and watch this video. Now that I've got your attention, I want to ask you something. Does therapy even work? Does it actually help? And how do you know if you need it? Can you make the changes in your life without doing therapy? Well, I'm Dr. Leif Smith, and I am a clinical psychologist, and I've been in the business for over 24 years now, which is a long time. So I guess I feel a little bit old right now.
What a nut punch.
But I want to talk about, does therapy actually help? Because so many more people are pursuing it. It's becoming much more cool to pursue therapy. It's becoming much more acceptable, is a good word for that, to pursue therapy. But I also see a lot of indications going the other way, that a lot of therapy is not helping. So, can it help? Yes, that's the short answer. But I'm going to answer in this video, okay, if it does help, I'm going to tell you the ingredients that are going to make it worth your time. Because if you do it correctly, therapy can be life-changing. But if you do it incorrectly, it can be a huge waste of all your money.
Alrighty then.
Okay, part one, let's start here, is let's talk about the general process of therapy. And let's also discuss some myths that are out there about therapy. And we'll debunk them. Part two, what we're going to talk about here, and I'm just looking at my notes, if you're going to do it, we're going to talk about how it works, and we're going to talk about what are some of the crucial aspects that you need to consider if you're going to get it right and change your life. And then part three, I'm going to just give you some general tips that I found over my 24 years of doing therapy and over 35,000 sessions worth of it. The good and the bad. I've learned a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of people. And I'm going to give you some tips that you can take with you into your own therapy should you choose to pursue it.
I'm ready to go in, coach. Just give me a chance.
So let's start with the myths of therapy, okay? Myth number one is it's only for people that are mentally ill. Folks, I've been doing this 24 years, and I've worked with some of the smartest, brightest, most engaging, and most successful people in the world. And if they're mentally ill, I got issues too.
Yes!
So it's not just for people that are mentally ill. It's for anybody that has something that they want to work on. Someone that's pursuing mastery in their life at some level with some behavior or some activity. Anyone can benefit from therapy if they do it right. Myth number two is, why not just go talk to a friend? Isn't it the same thing as talking to friends and family? Folks, that's crazy.
You'll have to excuse my friend. He's a little slow.
First of all, your friends and family love you, or maybe they don't. And they also have biases, and they do not have training in how the mind works. They don't have extensive training in the biology and the psychology of why we do what we do. They also don't have experience being an impartial third party to thousands and thousands and thousands of people working through similar issues. So, is it the same as talking to your friends and family over a beer or over a Kool-Aid or over any kind of beverage that you want to partake in? No, it's not. You're talking to someone with experience, someone who is impartial. The only bias that they're going to have is you getting better and you changing whatever behavior it is that you're wanting to change. So it's not the same, not even close. Myth number three, I love this one because it's kind of funny. It takes a long time. It takes a long time. There's an old joke. I think I heard it when I was listening to a book by Anthony Robbins, and he said, how many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb?
I got a really bad feeling about this.
The answer? Only one. But it takes a long time, costs a lot of money, and the light bulb has to want to change.
Stupid is as stupid does, sir.
So that just kind of goes around the myth of change takes a long time. Folks, it does not take a long time. What takes a long time is to get to the point in your life, I should say, where you're feeling enough pain that you want to change. I am convinced that if you get to a point where the behavior you're engaging in is so painful you can't take it anymore. For instance, maybe you keep choosing the wrong people to date. Or maybe you keep sabotaging it and you keep finding the right people and you screw it up. Once you get to a point where it's that painful, you do it 3, 4, 5 times, you get divorced twice, whatever the pain is going to be for you, you will want to change. And when you do that, it can happen quickly if you are ready for it. So no, it doesn't take a long time. The process of getting to the point of wanting to change, that can take a long time. But therapy itself and making the change, it does not have to be time consuming. Okay, let's talk about generally how does therapy work. If you've never pursued it before, it can be pretty intimidating. Well, generally, here's how the process works. You find a therapist to work with, and you usually find them 2 ways. Referral. So a friend calls you and says, hey, I hear you're wanting to go work on something. I have a great therapist. I highly recommend him, right? So it could be a referral. Or usually what people do is they go and they look online and they look for someone that's in their insurance, that's on their insurance panel. Or they find someone that's nearby or someone that's cheap and cost effective. And so they usually just call the therapist. And what happens then is you call the therapist and you go in and you usually do a first session of about an hour where they do an assessment and they ask you what's going on, what ails, right? What's the problem? And why are you here now in my office? And what's maintaining the problem? Like, how is your life peopled? What is your medical history? Do you have injuries? Do you have concussions? Do you have things like that? Do you have a medical issue that's making your psychological issues worse? What is your family like? Your family of origin and your current family, if you're married or have kids or anything like that. What is your social life like? What is your career like? What is your work like? So we'll do an assessment of your entire life and the problem. We call it the presenting problem and how it maintains that. And then we'll give our recommendations at the end on how you can overcome this, how we will do that together, and approximately how many sessions it will take. So those are the basics of therapy, right? Most therapy sessions are about 50 minutes to an hour long. Normally you start working 1 week at a time, and then you spread them out as you start feeling better. So typical range for therapy, it could be anywhere from 8 to 10 sessions on average for you to get some relief for what you're doing. So that's generally how it's going to work. Now, with that being said, part 2 now, what I want to talk about is what to look for and how can you, if you decide that you're going to pursue therapy, how can you do it right from the beginning? Okay, welcome back. So, some things to consider. And again, I'm looking at my notes. I'm looking at you, but then I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I cover these things. So, what do you need to look at and what do you need to consider when trying to work with a therapist? Well, first of all, here are some things that you should look for. You need a motivated and healthy therapist. That seems simple, right? You'd be surprised how many therapists are tired, worn down, weird.
Who here wants to be a fire engine?
Hey!
Strange, highly unaware people. I'm sorry to say that, but as a person in the biz, as a psychologist of over 24 years, you want to find someone who you vibe with. And you're going to vibe with someone who's relatively healthy, who's relatively normal.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
They have a normal life, okay? You need that first. So go by vibe, right? Someone you should vibe with, okay? They need to be motivated. If they're wanting you to be healthy and if they're wanting to help you get healthy, they should be healthy too. Doesn't that make sense? You would think, right? So, interview. I always recommend that you interview 3 therapists. It's not hard to do. But interview them. Ask them questions. What is your style? How do you work? How often do you see people? Do you have hobbies? What do you do? Maybe you're an ex-military and you would like someone who has ex-military experience also. That's fine. And it's an okay question to ask. What is their style? Are they more indirect and passive? Or are they more direct? I tend to be more prescriptive. So a lot of my clients come in because they've heard I can be more direct when needed. A lot of therapists aren't like that. It's the old, how does that make you feel?
No more shenanigans, no more tomfoolery, no more ballyhoo.
Some people don't want that. Some people want more prescriptive. So these are some of the things you need to consider. Okay. You also want to look at training levels. That's very important. I hate to say it, but a doctoral level therapist is going to have more training than a master's level therapist or just a clinical counselor with 2-3 years experience. Now, that comes with a big asterisk. I have a doctorate. I also have a 2-year postdoc. So I've gone as far as you can go, 5-year doctoral program and a 2-year postdoc. And I've worked with I went to school with a lot of people that did the same level of training that I would never refer to. Yes! Because they're not good therapists. They're not competent. They're not self-aware. And I have a lot of people that I do refer to that have 2-year degrees, licensed clinical social workers, things like that. So why? Because they're competent and they're good and they get good outcomes for their clients. That's why I refer to them. But in general, a psychologist is going to have more training than other counselors. You want to keep that in mind. If you want more training, that's the level you want to go. But there's always an asterisk with everything, right? And competency trumps experience, okay? If you help your clients get better, you're going to be on my radar to refer to. Okay, so you also want to look at what is their clinical or theoretical orientation. By that I mean, are they more psychoanalytic or Freudian, right? Are they going to want to look at your past?
You got to put the past behind you before you can move on.
Are they going to have kind of ideas on your unconscious motives, on what's going on in your life? That would be different than someone who's, for instance, more cognitive behavioral, CBT. You've probably heard those terms before. Someone with training in CBT and someone who is oriented towards that is going to help you change the way you think about things because they believe the way you think determines the way you feel and the way you act.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
So you have psychoanalytic orientation, right? The old Freudian stuff. You have CBT. You also have some therapists that are more behaviorally oriented, meaning they look at the environment and do you get punished? Do you get rewarded? And that's how you're going to change your behavior.
You go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
Or maybe they're a mix of all of them. Okay. But you want to kind of know what is their theoretical orientation? How do they believe people change? Okay. Really quick, before I move on to the third section here, I want to talk about signs that the therapist is a weirdo.
Everybody's a weirdo. I'm a weirdo. You're a weirdo.
I hate to say that, but if you've got any therapy experience at all, you've probably seen therapists that are weirdos. I can say it because I'm in the business. Some people probably call me a weirdo. That's okay. But when I say weirdo, what I mean is ineffective, not helpful, and completely unaware that they are both of those things. So here's some signs that a therapist is a weirdo. Okay, first of all, is their office nice? Seems like a simple question, but do they have a nice office? If they don't have a nice office, why? Are they working out of their basement? That's a weird choice, right? People running around in the house above you? That's weird. Is it clean? Does it smell good? Or does it not? I once went to see a therapist, okay? She had a nice clean office. I was working through feelings in my divorce, right? So I was in a bad headspace. And I went to see this therapist. And I went in and I walked in. I sat down on her couch to see her. It's a Saturday morning, therapy session, nice sunny day. And then her dog runs in and jumps on my lap. Big furry dog. In her office. Now, I'm not a dog hater. Actually, I love dogs. I'm not a cat guy. I'm a dog guy. But when I go in for therapy, I don't want a freaking dog jumping on me and licking me. And I don't want you saying, oh, that's okay, he likes you. I don't care if he likes me. I didn't come here to hang out with a dog. I came here to get over my feelings related to my divorce. That was weird.
Stupid is as stupid does, sir.
She didn't ask me. What if I had a phobia of dogs? That would have caused even more problems. Or what if I was allergic to dogs? He was a furry dog.
First day of my life, what do you think?
Right? So she didn't even think about that. Didn't even warn me. Didn't even ask me. That, folks, is weirdo behavior. Okay? So those are some signs that they're weird. Also, do they have self-awareness? Can they joke about themselves? That's a very important thing to think about with therapists. The weird ones do not have senses of humor. The weird ones take themselves way too seriously. They demand that you call them doctor, and everything is doctor, doctor, doctor. They don't laugh at themselves, right? They make a joke, they make a slip up, something like that on accident, and they don't laugh about it. That is weird. So those are some of the signs to look for. Do they look like they're taking care of themselves? Do they look like they're taking care of themselves financially? If not, why would you want to go to them? If they can't do basic self-care, right? They can't take care of themselves. They can't clean their office. They don't look like they're doing well in life. They put on way too much weight, right? Or they're way underweight and they want to talk about your weight issues. Those are signs that they're not going to be as effective as you want them to be, okay? I just put that in the weirdo category. And you can judge me for it, but it's just a quick way to know, is this going to be a good fit or not? Okay, so let's move on to the next section. Final section. You've made it. Good job. Okay, and you've decided you're going to do therapy, and so we're going to make it work. So in this section, I've written down some tips for you. The best tips I can give you on how to make your therapy life-changing, okay? Tip number 1 here. Keep this in mind. Bad therapy will set you back.
That's all I have to say about that.
In your life. Thus, you need to be very careful about who you choose to work with. Keep that in mind. I've had people come to me and they've been scarred by previous therapists. I had one guy come to me because he saw me on an MTV show years ago that I did. It was a True Life. MTV True Life. If any of you older people have seen that show, let me know in the comments, because I had a bit part in that show one year. I think it was around 2010, 2009. But anyway, this guy came to me because he saw me on MTV. So my head was huge, right? And he's coming in to see me, and I thought, oh, you saw me on TV. I must be a big deal.
Like it a lot.
He said, but that's not the reason I came to see you. The reason I came to see you is because my last therapist kept falling asleep on me. What? So you're telling me if I just stay awake during sessions, I'm going to be an improvement on him?
And totally redeem yourself!
Yeah. So all I had to do was stay awake. This therapist also, when he would wake up, blamed him. And he said, listen, you're not engaging enough, and that's why I'm falling asleep on you. That, folks, is bad therapy. Bad therapy can scar you. Bad therapy can set you back, can make you never want to go see a therapist again. So be very careful when you're choosing, okay? Another tip here. You want to make sure you write down your goals. You want to choose some goals from the outset with your therapist and write them down. You want to figure out, how are we going to measure my progress? Is it going to be informal, right? So if you're going in for depression, for example,
I accidentally cross-dressed.
Maybe you're going to measure it by, I'm going to be smiling more, or I'm going to hang out more. I'm going to go out with my friends more. I'm going to reconnect. I'm going to start showering more. These are ways to measure feeling better, okay? But make sure you write down some goals, 2 or 3 goals that you want to get out of therapy. That's all you need. And how you'll know when you get there. Very important. Another point to keep in mind here. The more you invest in yourself, the better it's going to go. Now, that might sound self-serving because most people that know me know I don't take insurance. And so I can be kind of expensive if you're going to come in and pay cash. However, there are reasons behind that. And one of those reasons is I want my clients to be fully invested in their own growth. That's so crucial. Okay? Not only do you need to be ready, but you need to be ready to invest. And if you're coming in and you're paying me cash to get better, you're going to want to get something out of our time together. Okay, let's go. Let's go to work together. Let's do this.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.
A good therapist, honestly, is probably going to be expensive. They're probably not going to be on your insurance panels. Why? That's a whole nother video that I'll do at another time. But
Dang it.
needless to say, insurance is not the best option for finding a good therapist. So be prepared. A good therapist might have a little bit of a wait list, might be a little while to get in, and they might be a little expensive, but they're worth it. You need to invest in yourself. Okay? Another tip. Don't expect therapy to be fun. Sometimes it is. I like to have fun with my clients.
Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
Okay? I like to giggle. I like to laugh. I like to poke fun, usually at myself, because I screw up all the time. But it's not always fun. Sometimes it's a lot of work. Sometimes it's a lot of tearful work. Sometimes it's tragic work that we do together. If you expect it to be fun all the time, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Just remember, it's about getting better. It's not about making fun. Sometimes I tell my clients, when you leave here, you might be upset with me. That's okay as long as we're working hard and we're working together towards the same goal. But you might not like what you hear from me on certain days. I get it, okay? Make sure you don't expect it just to be fun. Okay, what about meds? Should we talk about that?
Alrighty then.
Should you use meds or should you use therapy? I like to think of meds as an adjunct to therapy. So therapy should be where you're doing the work. Now, if you need medicine to help you get in and do that work, to help bridge the troubled waters that you're going through, definitely do that. So when do I recommend meds for my clients? I recommend meds for my clients when you can't get out of bed to come in and see me. Or when you're having so many panic attacks during the day that you're losing time at work and you're losing income and you might lose your job. That's a bad thing. You can't do your job because of panic. Meds will help you calm down a little bit. And now, when you're in my office and we're working and we're talking on a weekly basis and getting you better, we have more room to do that because the meds are starting to take effect. So using meds as an adjunct, not as a replacement for therapy, is very, very important. Because if you just use meds and you say, hey, I'm feeling better, I don't need therapy. What happens when you're not on the meds?
We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
What happens when you can't afford them? What happens when they're not covered by your insurance anymore? Or you change insurances and you don't have insurance? Then you're in a world of hurt. So medicine should supplement what you're doing. And I never recommend that my clients get on meds without a plan for getting them off meds when they're feeling better. Okay, another tip here. Prioritize your therapy. Prioritize it like you would working out, like you would anything else that matters to you in your life. Give it time. Give it 8 to 10 sessions. I always tell my clients, give it 6 to 8 sessions to evaluate how you're doing. And if in 6 to 8 sessions we determine you're not getting better, we're doing something wrong and something needs to be changed. I think that's very simple.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
But you need to prioritize it and you need to put in the effort. My best clients, without fail, are hardworking. They take notes. They bring journals in. They keep lists. They ask me questions. They're active participants in their own therapy. They prioritize it. They do it first thing in the morning or last thing in the day. They come off of work and come into my office. They prioritize it and they work hard. And when they do that, it helps me work hard and we're on the same page and they get better. Another tip here. Have a good support network. Very important. So if you're going into therapy, have some friends that you can talk to about their therapy experience. Have family to talk to bounce ideas off of. What should I tell my therapist? I always tell my clients to go do experiments in the world. Go ask for feedback from your family. And then bring that into our therapy sessions and we'll use that because that's data. But you need support. So don't go through therapy without making sure that you have people that you can talk to about it, about the changes that you're making in your life.
Hello.
So those are some quick tips that are going to help you if you've decided that you're going to do therapy. Now, here's what I need you to do. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. That'll help me, okay? Like the video, share it, but most of all, leave a comment. Let me know, was this helpful for you?
Poop again!
Here's what I need you to do. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. That'll help me, okay? Like the video, share it, but most of all, leave a comment. Let me know, was this helpful for you? Was it? If you've been in therapy, what was the most helpful part for you? These questions will help other people that are watching the video. And so I'm Dr. Leif Smith. Thank you so much for spending the time with me today. I know this video got a little long-winded, but I really want to help you have a better experience if you're deciding to do it. Take care, and I'll see you soon.